10 Cube is back with a brand new show. Mike, that's Michael. I'm Nathan. Mike, what are we calling this show?
We're calling this show Above the Break, and we're going to be breaking down all of the basketball stuff that's happening. This is going to be an ongoing little series. Obviously, for the playoffs, we're inspired to start doing this now. And heading into the off season, I'm going to be talking about a little bit of the transactions. This is a 12-month league after all, and then we're going to start doing some fantasy afterwards. So strap in for the ride. This is going to be fun. And let's start off. Let's kick the things right off, shall we, Nate?
Yeah, let's kick off the pilot episode. Today, we're going to start in the Eastern Conference, not quite at home in our beautiful city of Toronto, but let's go to Miami and the Bucks. I'll tell you what, Mike, number one seed aren't looking so hot right now, are they? I mean, they're avoiding the sweep, right, because they got that one game back. Break this down for me. What's going on? What's going on in that series?
So here as it stands right now, Tuesday, September the 8th, when we're recording, the Bucks are down in the series 3-1. Honestly, a miraculous victory, I'd say, in Game 4 to avoid the sweep. They showed a lot of heart, especially after Giannis, who was going off. In 11 minutes, he had 19 points on 8 of 10 shooting. He was really doing his work. And then he twisted that same right ankle he tweaked in game number 3. Giannis is as game as they come, but if we're talking about injury that might prolong or hurt his career, I should say, that could be a huge issue. But let's focus on the series for now. Chris Middleton showed up. He went 12 of 28. He was not really showing up too much. He played literally 47 minutes in an overtime game to survive. Now, no team's come back from down 3-0 in NBA history whatsoever. So I do not think the Bucks are going to come back. This is more playing for pride. And moving forward, obviously, I think Miami's got all the tools to win. They've got everything that they need. And moving forward, it's going to be real tough for the Bucks to be able to really pull anything out of substance. Giannis has got to really figure something out as to whether he wants to stay on this team long term or not.
Yeah, and answer me this, and in case you haven't noticed yet, I'm not going to be giving the insight and analysis to this one. I'm going to leave this to Mike because Mike's our resident basketball expert. I'll ask you this. It appeared to, at least a casual viewer like myself, the Bucks played better without Giannis. Do you attribute that more to the fact that the Heat have kind of set up their defense in stopping Giannis, and now that they don't have that same game plan, they looked a little bit confused, right? The Bucks played a lot better without him than they did with them, at least in that Game 4.
Spot on. Honestly, I couldn't have said it better, because this is the thing. When you're expecting 40 minutes, 36 minutes from their best player, and their best player has a limited repertoire in terms of a lack of versatility offensively, you stop transition at all costs, keep him out of the paint. If he does come in the paint, double or even triple team and make him pass it out to one of the other guys to spot up. When you play like that, the ball's in the hands of your best player usually all the time. And it's not that he's a ball stopper a la Carmelo Anthony or something like that, but when your defense is predicated on stopping a man and everybody else knows this is what we do when he gets rid of the ball, you now have to rewire your brain and say, okay, now we're playing a team that's going to play as a complete team. And that doesn't denigrate or say anything bad about Giannis. Frankly, he's one of the best players in the league. So, yeah, you're going to play through him. But making that transition to guarding the entire team on the fly when you weren't expecting it, like they were in Game 4, that became a who's going to tough it out and who's going to grit it out type of thing. And it went to overtime, rightfully so. And then when we're seeing Miami, I think they're going to come into this game where they know that Giannis might not play before the game even tips off, and they can now try to scheme defensively accordingly.
I'll ask you this. The Heat, this was their first defeat, their first taste of defeat in the playoff bubble, right? They swept the Pacers. They were looking like they were going to sweep the Bucks as well. How far do you think these Heat can go?
Honestly, the Heat just lost their first game of the entire playoffs last game in overtime, like I just said. It required an extra frame just for them to be able to be beaten. And when I look at this Miami team, the way that they're playing, they play above the sum of their parts. They do have a star in Jimmy Butler. We've seen how his stints went in Chicago, in Minnesota, in Philadelphia. But now he's in a system that he actually loves, and he's playing with dogs. You have Jay Crowder. You got Andre Iguodala. You got Jimmy Butler, obviously. Tyler Hero's he's no slouch. This guy's a rookie, but he plays above his weight class in that regard. You got Kelly Olynyk. Don't forget about Goran Dragic. Don't forget about these players that come in there. And there's just gritty guys, man. And that team really knows how to play off of each other and inspire each other. Bam Adebayo in my mind was one of the MIPs, despite Brandon Ingram winning it. All in all respect, so this team is a team. It's beautiful, and I see them going really deep. And no matter what, I don't care if it's Boston or Toronto that comes out of the other side. That series is going 6 or 7 games minimum, because it's going to be a war between two really, really talented squads that play genuinely as a team, as opposed to playing filtered through just one star.
I want to move back to the Bucks for a second here, because you mentioned one star, and we think of the biggest star in the league, right? We think, well, arguably, but the regular season MVP, Giannis, who is having very, very little success despite maybe an ankle injury. Is this Bucks team an actual system where you think he can set his roots in and say, you know what, yeah, I'm going to commit to here because I'm not leaving without a chip? Or do you think, approaching free agency sometime soon, you think the Bucks have to make a call and say, listen, maybe we got to get something for him because we can't let him walk for free?
The last thing you want to do is have them walk for free, and that's exactly the last thing you said, and I couldn't agree with it more. Go look at what happened with Charlotte with Kemba Walker, who ended up taking his talents over to Boston, who's having a great run themselves against Toronto. We'll get to that in a bit. When you see what happens lingering in the aftermath for Charlotte, it's really problematic. The Bucks, honestly, you take Giannis off this team, and they're struggling to make the playoffs, and that's just a straight, honest truth about it. They're talking about a 10th, maybe an 11th seed, and that's just because he's the engine that makes this thing go. Now, from Giannis's perspective, I don't know if you really want to plant your flag in this city. First of all, Milwaukee is not a destination for free agents. So I don't know how you're going to try to go into this and think that you're going to sign anybody of real substance. That's not a destination place. It's cold. It's not a glamorous city. There's warmer cities. There's cities that are bigger markets. And that's going to stunt a little bit of your off the court revenue, if that's what matters to you. Now, obviously on court, which is what Giannis cares about, I don't think this team has the pieces around him for what it takes to go win a championship, nor do they have the salary cap to go and pivot and be able to make those things happen. You just gave Chris Middleton $36 million annual average value. You let Brogdon go, who would have been a stellar piece to keep alongside, and you kept Bledsoe in his stead. I don't think Bledsoe stretches the floor or even facilitates the same way that Brogdon can. And the only real perfect piece on their team that goes beside Giannis in a nice way is Brook Lopez. Other than that, I think you can find better pieces to surround him, and they could have done a better job. And if I'm Milwaukee and things aren't going well or whatever happens, and you're worried about him walking for free, you have to have a real honest conversation with him in this offseason and say, hey, what are your prospects moving forward?
I'll ask you this, and we'll end this segment on this. If Chris Middleton performs to the level that he did in Game 4, and he's constantly that outlet, and Giannis doesn't have to carry as much of the load because he can actually dish to a reliable number 2 who's playing out of his mind like that, right? Like some of the criticism that Milwaukee received was, Chris Middleton, bro, you're supposed to be a second banana. Where are you? If he performs like he did in Game 4 and Giannis is fully fit, then how far do the Bucks really go?
Well, you're talking about the Bucks showing up, and most importantly, on top of it, they had an historic defense as well. They were number 1 in the league in defense, but it was also a historic run defensively. They're one of the best all time in the regular season. We've seen that regression. The best team, ironically, for defense right now, which we'll get to in a bit, is Houston Rockets. So the Bucks calling card of defense turning into offense, which is because you get those stops and it turns into transition for Giannis, which gives him easy buckets. You're not seeing that right now. So I think the defense needs to step up the most. But yes, if Middleton comes in and he's playing the way he was playing, aggressively and hitting shots, and Giannis can push through this pain, because he's not going to be fit. But if he can push through this pain and figure something out, they can take another game and push this to Game 6. But it's too little too late. This is you went down 3-0. No team's ever done it before. There's no way this team's coming out to go escape to the Eastern Conference Final.
I like it, Mike. I love the insight. I love the analysis. Our resident basketball expert, Michael J. Mayers. Guys, Content Cube has basketball now. I know this is what you've been clamoring for and waiting for. Yeah, we got MMA. Yeah, we got soccer. The Jersey Ball, by the way. Check it out. Now we're introducing all new stuff. This was the first of the basketball era here on Content Cube. Mike, what's our name again?
We are Above the Break. Don't forget it. We shoot for lead.